to...
That wasn't a great start.
Welcome to Talkthrough. I am Kobna.
And I'm Lux, and we're here to talk about Worlds Adrift.
Yes. And what is Worlds Adrift?
Worlds Adrift is a physics-based MMO. It's in a beta stage, and it has a focus on exploration, shipbuilding, and player-created content.
Yeah, and it's for PC. It's going to be sold on Steam. It's made by Bossa Studios, which is most notably responsible for the Surgeon Simulator and I Am Bread, which I've never played actually.
Actually, quite a good game, and they're both very successful.
Yeah,
the two games.
Yeah.
To talk a bit more about Worlds Adrift, it's a game and it's an MMO, but the difference is that you don't have XP and you don't have quests and such. It's player driven.
There's not a like a storyline or a main quest line that you follow, and there's not an end objective.
It doesn't seem that way, no.
Yeah. It's a sandbox game.
It's a sandbox game, and they what do you call it? They call it a sandbox game. They're not shy to tell you that.
No.
One of the big things you do is you go out and find, I think they're called blueprints, but there's also some things called artifacts and such. But you're out to find information to build better ships and improve your character.
I mean, do you obtain the blueprints, or do you kind of create them as you increase in like skill? And
this game is a bit vague because not all the things are explained.
Yeah, it was just weird that in this world there's just blueprints lying around
for ship parts
of several ships that you can just find rolled up with a like neat little elastic or something.
But to clarify, the main goal is to build your ship, go out and explore, and build better ships.
Yeah. It's physics based.
All the way through.
All the way through, which means that everything has a weight and everything has gravity. Everything is affected by these things. So if you chop down a tree and the tree lands on you, you die.
You did.
You die. And if it lands on a steep hill, it's probably just going to start to roll.
They actually showed in one of the videos, we can put it up here, an item called something with gravity that actually makes things float so you can move them around to attach them to the ship.
Oh.
If you have a giant motor but it weighs like 50 tons,
so you have like an anti-gravity.
You have an anti-gravity device to move things around.
That's pretty cool. Also because that's probably notable. The ships you sail or fly, I guess you fly them.
Flying ships.
They don't land on ground. They just if you disembark, they just kind of hover where you disembark.
You actually need the bigger anti-gravity devices to make the ships float.
Yeah.
And you need to have a motor or an engine or something like that actually runs the anti-gravity. Yeah. If that engine shuts down, your ship just begins to fall.
Yeah. You build your own ship, but you can lose it.
You can lose it.
It can be, I guess it can be stolen from you.
Actually, yes, I think so.
It can be like the pirates.
I think so.
Take over the ships, or you can just fucking wreck it.
You can just wreck it into an island or something like that. I think there's a device that lets you respawn on your ship, but if someone boards your ship and just destroys the device, you're fucked.
But the thing I like is that when your ship is down, it's not game over for you. It's a setback, and it's a big setback, but not a setback so big that you have to start over on a new character or something.
I actually think you still have the materials in your inventory, and you still have the blueprints and such. So it's only the ship you lose. It's actually quite important to say that ships are very varied. You can build like a classic sky ship, but you can also build a spaceship.
So you can be very unique in your creation.
I think one of the developers actually said that many people defend their engines with heavy materials and hard materials because they don't want them to get hurt or damaged. But some players did a psychological game where they put weak material in front of their engine so people didn't think that the engines was there.
That's smart.
Yeah, so there's a lot of player creativity.
A lot of the things in this game is created by the players, the consumers. There's an island creator where you can create your own island, which if the developers then think it's cool enough, then it actually will be put into the game. They have quite a lot of examples on their webpage.
Someone made a Halo ring as an island, so
yeah, and a hand kind of, two hands kind of clutching together, and an overgrown castle. It was really cool actually. So
there's a lot of player involvement in this game.
There's really a lot of player involved.
We should perhaps talk about the grappling hooks and the hang gliders,
shit, yeah.
which you use to get around. It's actually quite simple. You use your hang glider to get on your ship, and I actually saw in a video a player hanging from his ship and repairing the engine while he was hanging, because that was the only way he could access it. And the hang gliders are just it's your method of getting around.
If you're not on your ship.
If you're not on your ship, yes. So it's an easy way to get around.
It's an easy, efficient way to get around.
But you are about to talk about something.
The alliances. Yeah. The alliances is also something that is purely player created. It's kind of like, I think, if you have to compare it to anything, you compare it to guild in like World of Warcraft, or clan in
I don't know.
all of the other games.
It's just
it's a small community,
or a big one.
There's actually also already like I would say pre-made alliances.
Yeah, that's one of the things. People can already make alliances even though they aren't playing the game yet.
Yeah, even though the game isn't even out yet. So there's an alliance. While we're talking, it has about
320 something.
20 members, yeah. And they call themselves the Glorious Sky Armada, and they, from the sound of it, they are gonna be like the law.
Yeah, they're going to enforce the law and I think they're going to make the law of Worlds Adrift.
So we already have kind of like semi-fascists.
But there's a lot of player involvement, and like I said, you can be anything you want. You can be a pirate, or you can be a law enforcer, or you can be an explorer, or something like that. There's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah. But again, there's no guidelines really. There's no guidelines for anything in this game. So it's very, as you said, free-formed, which also means that there are no professions really, are there?
I don't think so. They are talking about skill level, but I think that's making items for your ship.
Yeah.
But we could talk about the things they call wind walls.
The wind wall, yeah.
The wind walls are these giant walls where there's a very, very strong wind.
They use these wind walls to separate the several zones.
Yeah, the regions, or what we should call it.
So they have made it extremely hard to get from one region to another, because within these wind walls there is horrible weather.
Yeah, your ship is getting hit by thunder, and the wind is tearing apart your ship, and you need to repair it while you are in the wind wall. So many people die in the wind walls. If you're not prepared, you will die, and your ship will get wrecked.
And your ship will wreck and stay there forever, which actually also proved to be a lucrative thing for players that even the developers hadn't realized.
No, they hadn't seen it coming.
That, of course, these wind walls, a lot of people's ships are gonna get ruined and lost forever in these wind walls. Sorry, but they will always be there. They won't go away. So what some players suggested was that you could go into these wind walls and loot whatever people lost in there.
What was left of the ships.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's something that the developers didn't even think about.
That's one of the examples I think the developers is trying to set. Yeah. That this is one of the things the players created, and is just a part of the game now. Yeah. It's just a thing you do, and that's what they're expecting people to come up with ideas and such. And that is what will drive the game. Yeah. And that is their goal, not to get too involved. Make a world where the players actually choose what to do.
Yeah. And I guess it's a thing that we've seen before. Many places, as there's many MMOs that work like that.
The most recent example is No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky.
Where
there's also Reign of Kings, which I've played. for everyone to like know what we're talking about, you can say it's kind of like Minecraft.
But it's kind of like, there's a game called Rust right now that's
Yeah.
also base building and so many of these survival games.
Yeah. So it is actually just a survival games where the I guess the main objective, the only objective you really have is to stay alive.
In Worlds of Drift.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
it also has a really big sandbox element, which games like Rust and DayZ don't.
Yeah.
But you're right, Minecraft is a very good thing to compare it to.
Yeah.
If we should go back and talk about No Man's Sky, I think that's actually quite a good example of a game where you had a lot of opportunities and a big world was made for you. And it was procedurally generated.
Yeah.
But people didn't have anything to do after a couple of hours of playing.
Yeah. So after you've built your ship, what then?
What then?
Yeah.
And
then you have an alliance, yes, but I mean, yeah, you can sit and chat on your ships and such, but you can't go, all right, now we go do this, and now we go do that.
Let's do this raid, or let's defeat those monsters.
Let's do this quest line or something.
You can't do that.
No.
So that's a bit, you're right, of a concern, but I think it always is with a game like this. It was also a concern with No Man's Sky.
It was, but many in No Man's Sky, many thought, well, there's 18 billion planets. Of course, we have something to do.
I think
18 quintillion.
Quintillion planets, yes. There's a lot of planets,
and I think they made some kind of. They made a. Help me out, please.
Estimate.
No, equation.
Thank you.
They made an equation saying that if every person in the world found a new planet every minute, it would still take 500 years to explore all the planets.
So it's a very big world, but the problem with No Man's Sky is there isn't that much of a difference between the planets.
Exactly.
It's all the same things. You have this set of algorithms saying we have 50 of these, 50 of these, and 50 of these.
Yeah.
And it doesn't add up to 18 quintillion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a thing that there are 18 quintillion planets, but some of them are so small in variation that they practically look the same. And I think that's the thing that critics saw, but fanboys kind of looked past it.
I'm not quite sure we have said this, but I think this game is for a certain kind of people.
Yeah.
You need to be one of those that likes to explore and doesn't really have a straight path. Yeah. You need to actually you need to actually choose your own path instead of just following. Like if you're playing Call of Duty in the campaign, you have a very straight path to go.
Yeah. So you don't really have to think on where to go and what to do. You just kind of follow the red line leading you in that direction.
I think Worlds Adrift and No Man's Sky is kind of like the same audience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would agree in the sense that No Man's Sky is not. It is, but it isn't MMO. If you get what I mean.
It doesn't seem like it's multiplayer.
Yeah. So where I think Worlds Adrift will be more. It's not
more cooperative.
Yeah, it's not. You need to look really hard for another person. Other persons are gonna be near and gonna be easy to find, whereas in No Man's Sky,
it seems like they don't exist.
It seems very, very, very impossible to find them unless you kind of coordinate together or something.
One of the big questions is also this studio that makes Worlds Adrift. They are known for Surgeon Simulator and I Am Bread,
and which is fairly simple games.
But you can say the studios are very they're very used to physics games and they master physics games very well.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually where they started World Adrift. They were like, oh, we're great at physics. Let's make a physics-based game.
Yeah.
But now it's also an MMO. And they've never done an MMO before.
No.
So that's a bit of like a...
Can they hold up to the challenge?
Yeah, they're not the biggest studio. This isn't a AAA game.
No.
Or it might be a AAA game, but then it's their first AAA game.
Of course there's a concern about can they do this, because it's physics based, but that's the only thing that they can compare with their previous game. As I mean, the MMO and the
this is not a game about a flying bread.
This is not a game about flying bread. These are flying persons with flying ships and flying islands. So it's
perhaps they could
somewhat of a challenge.
Perhaps they could make a certain minigame. So what to actually say about the game? I'm very excited because I think this is actually... I see me and my friends building a ship together where we're like 5 or 6 crew members and just sailing around and exploring and shooting different ships. Have you ever played the game Guns of Icarus?
Rings a bell. It rings a bell. I can't remember.
It's a game where you play different classes and you're part of a skyship. And then there's an engineer and a gunner and a captain and such.
Yeah.
And I've played that with my friends. And that's very fun. And this is just that concept taken to the max.
Yeah. I have to admit, I am not that excited for the game. It's not... I mean, if I saw it on Steam when it came out, I would check it out. I think definitely, but I would consider to myself: is it something that I want to play?
It also the price point. We don't know that yet.
We don't know what it's gonna cost. It could be like,
and that's a big factor. That was a big factor. No Man's Sky. It cost $60.
Yeah,
and that's a lot.
And if this costs $60, I am definitely not gonna buy it because
but
it's not intriguing me the
enough,
same way other games where I sit and wait for games to come out. But yeah, I could definitely see myself checking it out at some point if it gets on summer sale or something.
I actually think this game also, the friends are a big factor. You need to find someone to play it with.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to play by yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make online friends. You can always make online friends. And
I actually think that is a possibility to still find the game appealing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need someone to do something with.
Yeah.
You can make solo ship actually. I think someone made the X-wings of Star Wars.
Yeah, of course you can make solo wings because
but they're not as efficient as you having a whole crew.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely and I think that's another good way of showing an MMO is that it's important to have other players. I mean, in World of Warcraft, in Warlords of Draenor, other players were completely not important. I mean, in raids, but they were so easy to find. So
and you also had your garrison where you were secluded.
Yeah, having other players and people that you actually knew was non-essential, not needed.
No, and that's the one thing that kept me playing through Warlords of Draenor. That was having a friend to play it with.
Yeah, and I stopped. Because it lost that MMO feeling. It was more like a role-playing game with
occasional multiplayer.
With sudden hints of MMO.
Yeah, and that's right. You need to have that feeling of the world being alive.
Yeah,
I think that's very important.
But yeah, as said, it's you can join alliances, you can make your own alliances. So I think finding people to be with in Adrift isn't hard.
I think it's actually quite clever of the studio to already make the island creator available, so you can be a part of the game this early, and making the alliances available. Then you can talk to people who are equally hyped for the game, and I think that's actually quite a clever method of getting attention.
We also need to talk about this. There's no main quest. There's no main objective for the game. Is this gonna be a problem? Because we've seen it before, as said in No Man's Sky, where people already now, like, it's been out for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And people are already getting bored of it because there is no main objective. They just go around harvesting iron and all those weird materials, and seeing weird creatures. Yeah, and it seems like people are getting bored just because there's no one saying we need to do this, we need to do that, and it seems like Adrift is based in the same way that there is nothing you need to do other than making a ship. So is it going to be boring at some point, just going around finding blueprints, finding materials to upgrade your ship?
I think we can take it back to the point where we talked about the player base and what kind of people is going to play this game. And also I think one of the big problems with No Man's Sky, I heard from some people that they've been playing it for around 2 weeks or something, and one of the big driving points of No Man's Sky is to get new technology so you can get more inventory space and such.
Yeah.
And suddenly it seems like there isn't any more technology. Suddenly there isn't more things to strive for. Yeah. And you're like, okay, I can get those resources to power up my ship, and then fly another place and get resources to power up my ship and fly to another place. It seems like if you have this technology-based system, you need to have a lot more content.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually where Worlds Adrift is a bit different, because you have the possibility of making all these different kinds of ships.
Yeah.
Where No Man's Sky is like you have ship number 1, ship number 2, and ship number 3. You can buy all of those, but you can't augment any of them.
Yeah.
Where Worlds Adrift is like, oh, do you want to have a flying tower as a ship? Sure.
Yeah, and now I'm speaking for me personally, and I say I would get bored by that. Just making ships, and no matter how unique they may be.
We talked about in Chronicles of Illyria, things were a bit vague, and I actually think it's a bit the same here with Worlds Adrift. Yeah. They are talking about player progression, but we don't have that much of an example.
Yeah, but still, in Chronicles of Illyria, we still knew that we had some roads we can go down. You can be a baker, you can be an assassin. You could strive in some sort of profession or something, and not just in the boring way like World of Warcraft, where it's easy to strive, but like in your own imaginative way. So that concerns me really, because the thing with main objective, because
if you're not that,
I need to be able to log in and tell myself, all right, what do I need to do?
What about a game like Minecraft?
Yeah, Minecraft. I'm also very on and off Minecraft, because I like Minecraft, but that's more like a chill game for me, where I run around, find some coal, find some diamonds, make a cute little. That's more like an architecture game for me. Like make a cozy little hut or a big underground city or something. So that's more grinding for me. Just if I don't have anything else, it's been like 3 or 4 years since I've sat down and played Minecraft like legit, like
religiously.
For real. Yeah, for real, like sitting down and just.
But that might say that you're not that kind of player who's that good at playing games with no direction.
No, I wouldn't say.
And I play Minecraft. I just play it for very intensely for about a month, and then I jump off for about 3, 4, 5 months, and then I jump back.
And then you're back on. Yeah. But we also talked about this, that we fear / hope. I guess we kind of assemble that in order to play this game and to really have fun with this game for a long term, you have to be able to roleplay.
Yeah, I think that's a big factor of the game.
Yeah, because as said, there's no clear-cut line on what to do, so you kind of have to, and they're very clear in expressing that it's you creating your own adventure.
But that's like we said before with the Sky Armada and the pirates.
Yeah.
And the explorers, you choose your own path, and that's a part of the role-playing experience.
Yeah,
you say, I'm gonna be an explorer. I'm not gonna fight other people.
Yeah, I'm gonna see the world, and maybe I can map it down,
or something like that.
There's also what were they called? The historians.
They were called the library.
The library, which are just gonna go around and
collecting data.
Yeah, collecting data, noting history and stuff. So I think a big thing is that you need to be able to put yourself into the role of the avatar you have.
But like you said, I think that's one of the big differences between you and me, is that every time I play a game, I automatically make up a little background story, and I automatically live. It's like when I play Minecraft, I'm like, all right, I'm the potion maker. Yeah. Why am I the potion maker?
I would say you're better at it, much better at it than I am, but I can do it too. I did it with my Warcraft character,
and I think that's what I find appealing. Yeah. Is I can build my character like I want.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because I find it interesting also, but I can see why people will find it unappealing.
Yeah, and I can too.
And the question is that what Worlds Adrift want, or Buzzer Studios, is that what they want? Do they want the people who are like role players and want a role playing game to be highly interested, and those who like World of Warcraft or like games where you have a clear cut objective kind of turns them off, because it's very polarized, those two factions, you know.
It is.
So
I think it's gonna attract a special kind of people.
Yeah. It's the special people.
Yeah.
First, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the same? Do you think Worlds Adrift will do the same as have the same effect on people as No Man's Sky?
It has the possibility, but I think it's too early to say, because people were really hyped for No Man's Sky, and it was the day of release where people was like, what is actually happening here? We were promised dinosaurs and all kinds of crazy stuff, and where is it?
Yeah.
So I think it's something you can only determine at the day of release.
Yeah.
But it has the possibility, I think. Like you said, it's very free form. So some people may be disappointed by that.
Yeah.
They expect something, and it's not that.
In reality, we just think that Worlds of Drift should really think about being very much clearer about what this game is going to be. And of course, they can't do it now because maybe they're not even sure themselves. But
I think they have a goal of some sort. But
but at some point, just tell us what kind of player base
are you aiming for?
What they're aiming for, you know. Then we also had in the previous, which I kind of liked, the hype burn factor.
The hype burn factor, that's right.
Factor.
Oh, should I start?
You can start.
I'm about...
If we start with hype.
Yeah, with hype.
How hyped are you?
7.5 or something.
7.5,
I think.
Yeah, that's pretty decent. And if it tanks, how burned would you be?
Actually, not that much. I see this as... What do you call it? An experiment or something. This game is Bossa Studios trying to do something new, and if it succeeds, it will be great. But if it bombs, it's not the worst. So I think my burn factor is not that high. It's like I will be burned 2 or 3.
2 or 3 out of 10. Yeah. I would say hype. I am not hyped for this game. I think it's cool, and I would love like seeing you play it and maybe even try it myself. But personally, it's not a game that I would sit down and play like 3 or 4 hours into the night. So I would say hype factor, I'm 3.
Oh, that's not a lot.
Yeah, but I am not. I mean, and it doesn't mean it's not a good game or it has a good objective. It's just.
It doesn't appeal to you.
It's not appealing to me in so much of a way.
So what is the burn factor?
Burn factor, I would say 0.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I would be like, oh,
that's a shame. And that's it.
Yeah, and then I would move on with my life. So yeah, a low burn factor.
Yeah, but that's okay. Like in Chronicles of Elyria, we were also a bit different. I was hyped for Chronicles of Elyria, but actually it didn't.
It didn't appeal to you as much.
As it did for you.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Chronicles of Elyria. Yeah, this was the second episode of our like Talkthrough podcast.
Yeah, semi-podcast like
segment. We enjoy doing these very much. So if you enjoy them as much, please like them
and drop a comment.
Maybe saying what else we should talk about. We can talk about everything really, from movies to video games to songs.
We would love suggestions.
Yeah, and we would actually love. We actually thought about doing one for Suicide Squad, but then we realized that when we were going to see it,
it had already been out for 10 days.
Yeah, it had already been out for like a week in America, so we didn't think it was worth it. But yeah, maybe Finding Dory.
Perhaps.
It's coming out in like 5 days.
Perhaps. Yeah, this has been Kobna and Lux, and thank you for watching the video.
Yeah, see ya.